Hi parents, I hope you guys had a wonderful week. I can't believe it's already the second week into November. Time's flying by. I just wanted to do a summary again of the week so you know what went on. I know it was a shorter week with Remembrance Day, but we still managed to get quite a bit done this week. So as always, we'll start with our books. These were the three books, well, we had other books, but these are our big three books of focus this week. We had The Best Part of Me. The kindergartens, again, we're looking into ourselves and what makes us special and unique. So this was another book to support us into that inquiry. So it was The Best Part of Me, and it features different children, and they talk about the best part of themselves and why they love that specific body part. So from their hair to their hands to their eyes to their feet to their heart. So the students with me and the other teachers, they did the best part of me, so they had to pick a piece of their body that they felt was the best part of them and then verbally explain to us why and give us reason and detail for it. So this was their kind of, this is what it will look like, and it's going to go into their All About Me books. So this is kind of what it would look like. So this student said, my smile. The best part of me is my smile because I smile all the time and my smile is good. I smile at my mom and my dad. I smile at school, at my brothers, and at my sister. So that's what they did this week, and that's why we read that book, The Best Part of Me. We then looked at Are You My Mother? So a Dr. Seuss book. And this is a really great book because each page has a sentence. So we were able to look at, we start our sentences with uppercase letters, we finish with a period or exclamation mark or question mark. We leave spaces between our words. So it was a great way kind of to look at sentences and break them down because they were all generally simple sentences. And then we looked at God Gave Us You. So again, the kids have read quite a bit of books by this author. God Gave Us You, God Gave Me Family, God Gave Us Thankful Hearts. So we read that one today. And then our focus bins for the week, we did our 4 focus bins. We started with, one of our focus bins was creating a pattern. So the students had to build and create a pattern out of the blocks. So for example, if they did yellow, yellow, red, yellow, yellow, red, and the students know that the pattern has to repeat 3 times for it to actually be a pattern, yellow, yellow, red. So they had to first build the pattern with the blocks, and then they had to show one of their teachers. And then once they had built the pattern, then they were able to color it in on their sheet of paper. So this just gave us an idea of 1, can they build and create their own patterns, and then 2, can they actually transfer them onto the paper, because this takes a lot of concentration and they really need to stay focused when they're doing this so they don't make mistakes when they're copying the pattern that they built onto the paper. So again, we're looking at creating patterns with 2 or 3 elements and not always sticking to that simple A-B pattern. So green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, or red, yellow, red, yellow. We're really introducing to the kids different patterns, AABs, AAB patterns, ABC patterns, so they're getting the hang of it. Patterning for some students is a hard concept to understand. Once you get it, you kind of get it, but we're going to keep doing it because the repetition will help. Then we looked at Words Around the Room Remembrance Day, and each week we are building the kids' stamina. Each week they get 2 more words to copy, and this week the words were a little bit longer, so again that takes focus. And that kind of horizontal translation to look up at something, keep the letter long enough in your head to write it down in the boxes. So they did a great job there. Then they really, I know we do Words Around the Room a lot, but they really get excited about it and they really do love it. It's a very good activity because it's independent. They can do it on their own. It works on their writing, their scribing. They get that movement activity because the words are all over the room. And then a lot of times, I'm kind of noticing they're starting to build those connections, like even stronger connections with their peers, because they're going around the room with their peers. And a lot of the kids are going in partners now and waiting for each other and supporting each other. So it's really nice to see as a teacher. Then we looked at sounds. So again, because we're only on I, we looked at sounds A to I. So what the students have to do here is they have these sound maps. And they have to cover, so let's say we were looking at the sound C make. So let's say that child got this letter C. They'd have to cover the objects that start with the letter C. So cat would be covered, and then they'd have to say balloon, buh. Okay, that wouldn't be covered because it doesn't start with the letter C. Comb would be covered, carrot, and so on through all the pictures. So it's a really quick way for the teachers to assess whether the child knows the sound or not. And it's again repetition. So they had to do it for letters A all the way through I. And the vowels are much harder. The E's and I's are harder sounds for the kids to recognize. So this was a great activity to assess my students where they're at with their sounds and letters. And then actually after the group that finished with the sound cover game, they had to come and sit with me. And I know I showed you this last week, but I did assessments A through D on sounds, and then next week I'll do E through I, just to see, do they know those sounds? Can they do it quickly? And then it gave me an idea of who's still struggling and who needs maybe a little bit of extra practice. Then we did the heart maps from last week. They just had to color it and trace it this week. So we finished that up. Again, we're working on staying in our lines, coloring with real colors. Then we looked at this week, some of our extra fun activities. They got to create Christmas ornaments. So they had balls, bells, and then some longer ornaments. So we're going to start decorating our classroom and turning it into Winter Wonderland. So that was a free one that works on fine motor because they have to trace the ornaments, and then they were able to decorate them however they wanted, but they had to cut it out of loose paper. Then we looked at the letter I, of course, this week. So letter I, we have uppercase again and lowercase, and I has two sounds. It says I and it says I. So things like iron would say the I sound, and then things for I would be iguana, igloo. So we were really looking at that sound and breaking it up. This is a very hard sound I find for kids to recognize because it sounds very close to E, which says eh. So we're really getting those kind of hand actions with the kids. So eh, with the breaking of the egg from the song Jollyphonics, and I, eh. So they put their finger up to help them remember. And we really exaggerated this sound with the kids this week. And then we looked at proper formation. So we know we always go down the slide, across at the very top, across at the very bottom for uppercase I. And lowercase I is a line with a dot, and they know that line has to stay below the dotted line because it's a small letter, and the I goes above. And we're working on not creating lollipops or big dots. It's just a simple dot, and the kids actually did a great job with this week. So of course they did their practice books with us, their letter I's, so you can see that they're doing a really great job. They're getting very good at it. And then we also did this week, parents, a math game. We did it whole group activity first on the whiteboard, or on the smartboard and on my easel. And we did it where the kids, it was interactive. They could come up and they would circle the numbers and write the numbers with me. Now this activity that we did focused on a number of components of math. One, subitizing, so being able to look at a dice and know the number right away. Two, being able to write their numbers, the actual numerals. And then three, understanding the concepts of bigger and smaller, which numbers are bigger and which numbers are smaller. So what the kids had to do, and again, it gave me another assessment. As we get closer to demo, I want to have the most recent assessment of where the children are at, so where they were at with their numbers and things. So what they had to do, I'll show you, is with partners. That was the other thing. I had them working with partners because I want my kids to support each other, and I want them to work on patience and sharing and negotiating. And when they work together, we hit these kind of concepts. So what the kids had to do is they each got their number shaker and they were working in partners. So let's say I was working with Roberto, for example. Roberto would put his initial on one column, and Miss Sakamani, I'll just put MS, would put hers at the bottom of the other column. So Roberto, let's say they rock, paper, scissors of who got to go first. So he would shake his shaker 1, 2, 3 times. And then he'd have to tell me, he'd have to quickly tell his numbers to the partner. So 6, 4, 3, 3, 4, 5, 1. So then he would they take turns, so he would get to write his numbers first. And they had to actually do the numeral. So 1, 5, 4, 3, 3, 4, 6. And then it would be my turn. So then I got to shake my shaker 1, 2, 3 times. And then I would have to verbally tell Roberto the numbers first. 5, 4, 1, 6, 1, 1, 6. And then I would write that. So 5, 4, 1, 6, 1, 1, 6. And I really did focus on that verbal component too. Before we even moved to the paper, they did a day where they just got shakers and they got to go around the room and just say the numbers aloud to their partners. Again, that's that subitizing and that quick recognition. So once they had this, then the partners had to circle the bigger number. So 1 and 5, they'd have to circle 5. 5 and 4, 4, 6, 3, 4. And then if they got a tie, they got to circle both of them. So the partner who won was the partner who had the most circles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. So Roberto would have won this round because he had the bigger numbers. So they did this 2 times with me. Some students got around to 3 with their partners, but it was a really great activity, and they really enjoy it. They enjoy the shakers. It's a great resource. And then lastly, parents, lastly, we worked on our syllables this week. So we're really working on our sounds in words and breaking up our words. So the kids are getting great with that initial sound, like I said, we've been working on. But this week I introduced to the students syllables. So breaking up our words into sounds. So what they had to do with me is we talked about a syllable, what it was, and then we represent our syllables with claps. So either 1 clap, 2 clap, 3 claps, or 4. So they'd get a word, and we did this as a class. Next week they're going to do it as as a small group activity on their own, but this week we did it together. So what they do is I would show them a word, and then they'd have to clap the syllables. So baby, they'd have to stop and they'd have to say baby, and then they'd tell me, okay, it's 2 claps, so it goes under 2. So we did it for all these words, and we broke them down, and we just kind of did a few each day. The kids did them. I got some kids, we did some as a whole group, some they'd listen to me, some I picked individual students to do it, but we're really looking at breaking down our words into the sounds, and that's going to obviously help them with sounding out and writing when they get to that point. So syllables is a big thing that we're going to work on for the next few weeks. Well, actually not for the next few weeks, for the rest of the remainder of the year. And then I think that's it, parents. That's kind of what our focus was this week. Next week we're going to look at letter J, and we're going to start preparing ourselves for demo. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week.